Bang bang! Hey everybody, and welcome to another one of these things where I talk about stuff. That's what we do on videos, right? I guess so. Anyways, I went to AEW Double or Nothing in Queens, New York, or Flushing is a part of Queens. I don't know how New York geography works exactly. I did get a little bit more familiar with it because I got to explore a little bit more of the city, which is kind of nice. And we went back in as a family. We went back in January of last year for the GCW at Hammerstein show. Well, I went for that. We also did other things, obviously, as a family. I didn't drag my family to New York City to go to GCW. Um, but yeah, so I went this time. I went by myself, and well, I met up with a couple of friends of mine who are regulars on the friend group that travel around to shows, and then we had one friend also who lives there, which is cool to visit him again. Yeah, just a really good show overall. I had a lot of fun in New York City. I'll touch upon it as we go, but anyways, uh, on for Double or Nothing, we ate at this awesome food court before the show. It's a New World Order, no, New World Mall food court or something. I don't know. It's right by the venue. It's super good. There's a lot of like Asian cuisines there of all different types, and whole lot of food there. So we walked over to the venue. We got towards the arena, and I was all excited because we're like, hey, we're like 25 minutes early. We'll get in plenty of time for the pre-show. Well, it turns out, I don't know if we came the wrong way, if there was another way of getting in. I don't know. That was the easiest way from where we were coming from, but it took forever to get into this place. They only had six metal detector things for 14,000 people to get through, at least on this side. I don't know if there's, if the crowd was split or whatever, but still, there was a lot of people and not a lot of metal detectors. So it took forever to get in. I ended up missing the Divine Dominion tag match against Zeta Steel and Viva Van, which is kind of a bummer. And I missed the first Mick Foley uh, speech to start off the show, which was also really a bummer because I really wanted to be there, to see Mick Foley's debut in AEW because now he is all elite. But I did get there. I inched closer to the building as the Death Riders jingle started playing, and made it in time for pretty much the beginning of the Death Riders versus the Ops match. Now that match it was what it was. It was a pre-show match. It was I don't want to say it was there to kill time, but at the same time, it wasn't really there to accomplish a whole lot. Um, Death Riders ended up winning the match, which I'm completely fine. I kind of, like I said in the preview thing, I kind of thought the Ops might win it just to kind of help establish Anthony Bowens in that group, but it didn't work. They didn't win, so I was wrong. Not surprising. Next match was the Boom and Doom taking on the Conglomeration, or teaming up with the Conglomeration. That would have been awkward. Facing Shane Taylor Promotions. And this match was exactly what you'd expect out of a pre-show match. Just a lot of fun, a lot of saying "Big Boom" for Big Boom AJ. There he is. There's perfect timing with the boom there, and it's just a fun match. It was a short match, but it was just there for mostly just good times and vibes and for yelling boom. Yeah, just a bummer part of the match was at the end. They were setting up for like a big waterfall spot where QT was gonna like do a big flip thing while they were setting up in the corner and doing a power bomb, and then QT ended up just losing his footing and like crashing to the floor. And it looks like he kind of maybe jarred up his knee a little bit, but that was kind of a bummer. They ended up, I mean, it worked out. Obviously the QT part didn't work, but like they still had it all set up for a power bomb, so the finish still worked, and it was what it was. It was good. It was a fun match for what it was. I had a lot of fun with it, and yeah. So that was the pre-show. Well, then, and this was something that they haven't done at least in a while. I can't think of the last time I saw it. They actually ended the pre-show with a promo. It was Renee and Mick Foley in the ring again. Mick Foley was kind of talking some trash about MJF and saying that he's going to get shaved bald. And then out came MJF, which was a very smart move because, hey, this is the pre-show. If you're looking to sell your pay-per-view, what better way than to have Mick Foley, a very recognizable face to professional wrestling fans, in the ring with the guy who's going to main event the show in MJF, and also having Darby Allin involved and having Mick Foley use that promo time both to get into a verbal altercation with MJF that actually ended up getting a little physical, and having Mick Foley go out there and put Darby Allin over at the same time. Just a really smart move, exactly what you'd want out of a pre-show spot, and this was like one of the more ingenious thing I've seen them do on the 0 Hour. You could have ran a match that didn't matter, but they used that time very, very wisely for that spot. The show started off with Cope and Cage, who, as you can see here, now have the AEW World Tag Team titles around their waist because they won the I Quit match against FTR. Very fun match, really cool spots. Some of them maybe nonsensical about like putting Christian's arm in the cinder block and hitting with a chair. I think that ended up hurting Dax's fingers more so than Christian's arm. But overall, like I said, some cool spots. The spot where Cash put Big Stoke through a flaming table was awesome. Beth Phoenix getting involved was a lot of fun. And this is exactly what you would want out of this match. And I was thinking about it, I'm like, shoot, I think I've seen all 3 times that these tag teams have wrestled like live, as between All Out last year and Dynasty, and now this one. So it's pretty cool to have been there for this entire trilogy of matches. And this was probably the best one out of them all, to be totally honest. I had a lot of fun with this match, and this was a great way to start off the show. And this really got the crowd going, and the crowd was hot. The crowd was hot all night, and as Dan here says, I think you've seen all matches live. And speaking of which, the next match was Konosuke Takeshita versus Kazuchika Okada, which I don't want to put myself over or anything, but I also saw the first match between those two live at World's End this past year. But anyways, that's not important right now. But so yeah, Konosuke Takeshita, Kazuchika Okada, 2 of the best wrestlers on the planet. Somebody else, one of my friends pointed out, he's like, how often do you see a match in the United States where it's 2 Japanese wrestlers facing each other in the match? And you like kind of think about it, and you're like, yeah, that really doesn't happen all that much in the wrestling landscape in America. It's always about the Japanese guy versus the American guy or whatever. Very seldomly is like one of the biggest matches on the show, 2 Japanese wrestlers, and at least obviously in Japan that happens frequently, but in America, not so much. So yeah, sorry to stop this quick. He said, did you get your pro wrestling ready? Yes, I did. I opened it actually this morning or this afternoon, whenever I got back. And there is a video on there. You can keep watching this one and then check that one out afterwards. Sorry, I just wanted to plug that quick. Anyways, Takeshita, Okada, fucking fantastic match. Absolutely love this. This was my favorite match of the night. Going into the show, I said this was probably going to be one of the match of the night contenders. It lived up to the hype, and it was the match of the night. It wasn't a contender for it. It was the match of the night. These 2 absolutely killed it. I think they went about the same time as their other match, but for some reason, this one, just pacing wise, everything about it was basically perfect. And yeah, between Don Callis getting involved and stopping Okada from doing a move on the floor, and then Takeshita taking advantage of that window and him doing a move on the floor, there's just a lot of cool psychology that was going into play here. A lot of inner group dynamics at play with Takeshita and Okada that have kind of came out to fruition in here, and whole thing was awesome. And then, of course, after Takeshita beat Okada, the Don Callis family came to the ring, and it looked like they were maybe going to attack him. It looked like, what's going to go on here? Kyle Fletcher came out. It was like, okay, Kyle Fletcher calmed down the situation. gave Takeshita a hug. We're going back into, this awkwardness where we got Kyle Fletcher and Takeshita teaming up, being friends, not necessarily agreeing with the Don Callis family, but staying in there. But then after they hugged, after everything seemed like everything was fine, that wasn't fine because Kyle Fletcher turned his back on Konosuke Takeshita. So obviously that's going to be a big feud here for this summer. And I mean, if I was a betting man, I would say we're probably going to see this match at All In. And sign me up for it because that's going to be a banger of a match. So I am very excited for that. Athena versus Mina Shirakawa. Great, very good match. If anything, it's hard to say like, oh, this was the worst match on the show because this was still a very good match. Now, this probably by default, I think this maybe was the worst match on the show, but not by any means like was it bad. It was a very solid match. I enjoyed this quite a bit. I thought they did a lot better of a job working together than I even expected. And granted, like I should have known that this was going to be good because they did main event that Ring of Honor pay-per-view together. But while they didn't have nearly as much time to tell a story in this match as they did that one, either way, this was a really, really good match. We got Moxley versus Kyle O'Reilly. This was a match that, like, going in, I kind of said, like, I really don't know why this is on the pay-per-view, but it was good. The one thing that kind of you kind of break the fourth wall, you kind of think about wrestling a little too much. You got Moxley, Kyle O'Reilly. The whole thing was this was a no time limit match because they went 20 minutes on Dynamite, and then they finished this match in less than 20 minutes. One of those things that just like logically maybe doesn't make the most sense. Like you think you kind of go above the 20 minutes in this case, but it didn't need to. I'm kind of glad it didn't. It went long enough considering how late the show was going to go anyways, that I was happy with the time. But thought this was on the pay-per-view because he thought Kyle would win. Yeah, I mean, they kind of did set it up to appear that way, but I think Mox is just going to have a stranglehold on the Continental belt for probably the entire year until the Continental Classic next year is my guess. But I don't know anything. I just am making stuff up. I'm just, kind of pay attention to trends and stuff. I think Tony likes the belt on Moxley. I think that kind of builds, it kind of gives Mox his own kind of happy place where he can kind of do what he wants and still have the matches have some importance and still get regular kind of bookings on shows and stuff like that. But I mean, that's just me spitballing. Next match, Will Ospreay, Samoa Joe. This was a very solid match. It went probably shorter than most people were thinking it was going to go, which was honestly kind of a smart move. It didn't need to go that long. They got a lot of really cool spots in here. That the spot where Ospreay was going for the Oz Cutter, and then Samoa Joe noped out of the way. Brilliant. Them reenacting the Samoa Joe AJ Styles kind of move where he drops down and Joe kind of stumbles over him, doing that whole spot. Like all of it, like a lot. There's a lot of cool things that was like you knew that they were gonna that Styles or that Will Ospreay was gonna be like, I want to do some of the stuff that you did with AJ Styles, and he pulled that off, and it was awesome. So yeah, really enjoyed the hell out of that match. I wouldn't say it was the best match on the show just because like Takeshita Okada was on the show, but it was darn good. And next match, another very solid match. Swerve Strickland taking on Bandito. Just a banger of a match here. They did some insane stuff in this match between Bandito one arm power slamming Swerve over the top rope. The Swerve reversing that 21 plex into Vertebreaker was insane. Just so much crazy stuff in this match. Uh, Absolutely fantastic match. Thinking about it, this might have been my second favorite match on the show. Just because, man, these two did some stuff that was awesome. Yeah. The women's title match, another very solid match that maybe even over delivered, in my opinion. I didn't really have high expectations, but all four of these ladies just busted their asses and put on a hell of a match. Thekla is really one of those people that I didn't know what to expect from her when she showed up in AEW, but man, she is impressed a ton. Charisma off the charts, aura off the charts, and just puts on good matches. And that's really, at the end of the day, sometimes that's all you need out of a champion on your roster. Is just someone that can go out there and put on a good match when called on. Sheeta was great. All four of these women were great in this match. Any of the four could have won. I would have been happy with that decision. But Big Tech held on to the belt, and I'm very, very excited to see what happens in her for her summer here, and especially at Forbidden Door with her relationship with Okada, who runs Stardom. It's going to be very interesting to see kind of how things go on that show. Um, Stadium Stampede was the second to last match on this show. It was, of course, Jericho, Hurt Syndicate, the Elite in various forms, taking on the Demand and the Don Callis family and the Dogs. And this was exactly what this match needed to be. Just a fun match. They went all around the building. They had all sorts of cool, different stuff everywhere. They had even, a tennis racket spot, and then Luther came with a giant tennis racket, and then they had the tennis racket ball shooter thing, which did not shoot tennis balls very quickly. That Jericho had to start throwing balls at it just to make it look like, more of a dangerous spot, I guess. At Ricochet there. Did some cool things with like that catering spot where they had Tommy Invincible show up, and then of course Satnam Singh was there and he got bumped, and then food fight started and just craziness. So that was fun. The vehicle spot where the Jurassic bus crashed into the golf cart and into the car that was parked there was awesome, and it was a good way again to work in some golf related stuff. Or not, well, not golf related, but a tennis thing. What am I thinking? I don't know. What I'm thinking here. I was thinking of the golf show from a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, I mean, fun way to kind of bring a call back to that, I guess. And then yeah, just there's a lot going on in this match. So the fun thing is they kind of kept action going in the ring, so people that were sitting in their chairs could have a lot of fun. There are some people that were going around the building chasing people that were doing stuff. Something to see. They did it well on the Tron. You could watch the Tron above the ring and you could see what was going on, so that was kind of nice. And then you could also see the action that was happening in the ring, and yeah, and Jericho and the good guys won the match, and that's totally fine. This was like not anything that really meant anything at the end of the day, and it was cool at the end that Jericho did like the Sabu table dive thing, which is a nice tribute to Sabu. Passed away last year, right around this time, I think. Yeah, and then lastly, main event was MJF taking on Darby Allin for the AEW Championship, and another match that really, really delivered. These two busted their asses, busted their heads open in Darby's case, and just a great fight. Darby did a lot of crazy stuff in here. I don't know how he functions as a person sometimes, just because he is, whew, that is, he took some nasty spills in this one for sure, especially the big leap off of the entranceway. It was smartly the entranceway. It was I loved it. It had scaffolding around it, which like if you're not very familiar with New York or like I guess most big cities, pretty much every like big city you go to, you're walking underneath scaffolding for part of the way. But especially New York City, it feels like scaffolding is just part of the environment. So it's pretty awesome, like to build that into the entranceway. But to see Darby climb up all the way to the top, coffin drop off of there, just an absolutely insane spot. Like spot of the year. I mean, probably is it going to be beaten? I can't think of anything that could beat it. Like this is something that like if this happened in like 2004 WWE, like Shane McMahon would have done it. Like this would people would be talking about it to this day. Now, granted, Darby does a lot of crazy things, and the wrestling landscape moves quicker than ever because of just all of the stuff that's going on now. But I feel like this is going to be one of those spots that's talked about in Darby Allin's career, right along with like the jump off the ladder through the glass pane and Sting's last match and stuff like that. Like this spot was absolutely insane, and yeah, kudos to Darby, man. He killed this title reign. Won 39 days, I think, is what I saw. Had 9 title defenses. Dude absolutely tore it up. Like one of the best title reigns I've seen in wrestling in a long time, to be totally honest. Like absolutely impressive. Um, MJF got the win. It'll be exciting to see what happens from here. Hopefully, he loses the belt to Kenny Omega. But we'll see. I don't know when that'll happen, if that will happen. I mean, at the end of the day, it's hard to argue with putting MJF in the main event at All In because he might be AEW's biggest star. When you factor in everything, in ring, out of the ring, movies, all that stuff, he brings a lot of stuff to the table that not everybody does in that company. So I would prefer to see Ospreay versus Omega because I think you have one shot at doing this on a big stage. Um, who knows? I don't even know if Tony knows. He probably has an idea, but the wrestling world moves quickly, and things, unless something happens, there's always time to do an audible. So it'll be interesting to see kind of what happens with MJF's title reign, and to see how long it lasts, or yeah, to see where this goes. Um, yeah, so that was Double or Nothing. I had a great time in New York. Obviously, after the show, people, if you've been online, you've probably seen the clips of the subway area being gated off and like basically trapping everybody in there. That was fun. Yeah, there was like a small ramp that was very far off to the side that like you could go down, but like you couldn't really see that. And everybody that kind of came from either the train station or there was stairs to go stairs to go up to go towards the train station, but all of that stuff was blocked off. So basically, you couldn't get to the street at all in that area. Some people went the other way, which great for them. For the rest of us suckers, we were all got trapped on that bridge. On that boardwalky bridge thing. So that was fun, but we all survived. We all got out of there. It took a little, maybe 20 more minutes than we expected to get back to the hotel, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. Hopefully they I get why they blocked it off, but at the same time, it's just like, why are you doing this when there's a big show that has 14,000 people at it that are going to all be leaving right around the same time and make that extra difficult? I don't know. It seemed a little silly. Maybe they just weren't aware. Who knows? Yeah, good show. Had a lot, like I said, a lot of fun in New York City.